Hello, everybody, and welcome to Ask the CEO with Avrohom. Today, I'd like to introduce a very special guest. She is the CEO and co-founder of DataVisor, a company that is the leading fraud detection company powered by transformational AI technology. As part of this discussion, we will share how their partnership with Microsoft, their use of Azure and the Azure Marketplace have empowered them to scale and grow their business. It is my pleasure to welcome Yinglian Xie. Welcome, Yinglian.
Thank you so much for the introduction. It's my great pleasure to be here.
It's my pleasure to speak with you. I'm really excited to be speaking with you today. This is such an important topic, especially with everybody going through digital transformation. And, we chat a little bit offline about COVID-19. Well, COVID-19 sparked a major wave of digital transformation for businesses in every industry, which resulted in an exponential growth of online transactions. Now, unfortunately, one of the byproducts of removing the human from the equation is an increase in fraud. After all, no one's watching, right? Given that DataVisor specializes in fraud detection, what are the challenges that businesses struggle with regarding eliminating fraud when trying to go digital?
Yeah, this is a great topic, in particular for the current time being, right? When we are facing pandemics and stay at home and a lot of activities switching online, going digital. And when business is switching their business models to kind of going online, a lot of things changed, including fraud. And for one thing, some of our recent research suggested the fraud rate during the pandemics actually significantly increased compared to prior to that. And particularly some of the fraud that targeting at account takeover attacks and also pretending kind of taking the identity of legitimate users, etc. So that really means when we switch to the digital world, a number of things different. The first is that we are dealing with the customers without being face-to-face. And that's a significant kind of switch, that the information we receive about the customer is through kind of the online transfer, online kind of transactions. In that case, some of the identifications of the users will be very different. And business may not be able to be ready to face that kind of new change. And the second of all, and when you open up to online, you potentially business could have broader set of customers than they face in the past. The demographics, the geographic locations of the customers could shift or change. And that makes them not ready to prepare for dealing with the customer they typically have not worked with in the past. And the risk profiles and the fraud risk might be also very different. And third thing is that the way they handle fraud and risk could be very different. While we are online doing transactions, everyone is experiencing a very good user experience in the sense of real-time transaction. And so the data collection, the decision-making process should all meet that expectation. And during that time, whether we will be able to collect the amount data and leverage kind of our intelligence to detect sort of bad users and protect good users, all happen during this real-time transaction could be another challenge we face. And the fraudsters are leveraging this kind of new channel to aggressively launch many of the new attacks. For example, those typically kind of promotions that they could pretend to be a lot of new users, try to abuse these activities, even having bot, pretending to be legitimate users. And we talk about steal other people's credential, identity, and try to open, for example, new credit card accounts, try to open new bank accounts. So definitely for both consumers and enterprises, switching to online brings many of these challenges.
Yeah, and I think the one major difference that you mentioned between previous fraud campaigns, for lack of a better term, and nowadays is the introduction of AI in the mix. The threat actors or fraud actors, let's just call them the bad guys, are using AI in order to launch attacks and defraud companies and steal identities. This changes the whole playing field. It's no longer who can be smarter, more savvy, even if you know your customers, because this is happening at such a large scale that we need different kinds of tools than we've had in the past. So what can people do about this?
Yeah, so I do think the first of a item that we all should think differently is a mindset change. The mindset is we need some change in the first place. We are dealing with potentially different demographic of users online, and we are dealing with a different type of fraud online when compared with offline kind of transactions. And at the same time, the information we collect about user, the way we collect it, and also the real-time nature of these online transactions all means business needs to put on the investment of new infrastructures, new kind of ways of being able to interact with users, and also the way to detect fraud like in real time and proactively to protect their good users and continue to bring that kind of smooth experience to the good users. And for one thing, for example, when we talk about the infrastructure investment and change, are we ready, for example, to be able to collect the information about these transactions in real time, at the same time leverage big data analysis technology, leverage AI to quickly develop kind of this decision process, being able to predict and identify the risk factors of certain transactions, and to let the good user transaction go through, but at the same time block bad user transaction. And many of the dimensions of data we collect could be digital, and meaning it's kind of the device information, the device intelligence we are dealing with, rather than the traditional way being face-to-face interact with the customers and the manual judgment and the manual kind of due diligence experience. So the infrastructure shift and change to prepare us for that digital era is where every business needs to think about and be ready to invest right away.
Great, which is a perfect introduction to your business. So DataVisor recently launched a new offering on the Microsoft Azure Marketplace called DataVisor AI-powered fraud management solution. And there's actually a whole suite of products with that name. So tell us about it and how it addresses some of the challenges we just discussed.
Yes, I'd be happy to, first of all, tell a little bit about DataVisor. So DataVisor is a company that leverages AI, big data, and parallel computing power, and to provide this next generation comprehensive risk and fraud solutions for large enterprises across the globe to fight a variety of fraud, abuse, and money laundering activities. So we brought many of the services to Microsoft Azure, and so we offer the SaaS cloud solutions to the large enterprises of different stages requiring different kind of need. In a nutshell, the solution combines kind of real-time decision-making and a lot of the device intelligence and the kind of the fraud signals, the input data, and with this AI and machine learning power, therefore enabling us to switch to what we talk about, this online digital era, and be able to proactively identify new types of fraud, particularly those fast evolving unknown fraud attacks early. And some of the challenges we face when business moving online often at times is they don't know what kind of risk fraud they may face online, right? And so they don't have good historical amount of data to help them to gain the knowledge or be able to, for example, train a good model to start with, because historically
it's brand
they may
new.
operate very differently. And therefore, when they suddenly switch to online, and we need the capability, need the algorithm that enable them to detect new unknown fraud. Therefore, DataVisor's unique technology, particular unsupervised machine learning technology, is specifically designed to help everybody tackle kind of this new attacks without the need of historical loss experience and without the need of historical training data. So everybody can bootstrap immediately.
And that's really powerful. And that's really one of the benefits of leveraging things like machine learning, because it could get smarter as it goes along. Now, Yinglian, when I think about fraud detection, one of the aspects of fraud that concern me the most is insider fraud. You hear stories on the news all the time about an insider stealing company data and exposing millions and millions of records. Have you come across this kind of fraud, and how does your company handle that?
Yes, actually, you pointed actually a kind of rising problem, and that is kind of insider fraud, internal control, these type of fraud. They actually become bigger issue. And so as the companies grow in scale, as for example, the internal transactions also moving to online and digital. And when you think about the internal, like inside fraud, there are many different kind of inside fraud. And so for typical companies, and ranging from, for example, procurement fraud, expense fraud, toward, for example, operation fraud. And we even see, for example, some consumer-facing companies, they could have customer support and basically abuse the system, create a lot of accounts themselves, and refund to their own account. These are kind of variety, different ways to commit insider fraud. And further, there could be, for example, sales agent in order to meet the sales quota and commit different kind of frauds. So the type of variety of fraud regarding the inside fraud and actually can be many different fold. And so for DataVisor solution, we also offer kind of the solutions that targeted at this kind of more toward the risk identification, risk profile, as well as this internal kind of anomaly detection and fraud identification, these capabilities. Traditionally, we were only able to do very primitive type of ways, using the policies, using the compliance rules as trigger. But now with big data technology, with machine learning available, we can not only like support these kind of rules, but we can enrich those rules. And furthermore, we can provide data analysis capability and therefore identify more sophisticated patterns that typically go undetected on the radar. So that is another interesting problem that we potentially can address with the new generation of solutions.
Yeah, and it's definitely a must for everybody, especially now that AI is involved.
Definitely.
So, Yinglian, how would a company use your solution with Azure?
So for any company who would like to strengthen their risk and fraud, like protection, they could subscribe to our service with Azure. They basically can purchase DataVisor's SaaS platform and SaaS service through the Azure Marketplace. We have it available there. And the advantage of it, as we switch to the cloud technology, the cloud era, and being able to host on like a cloud platform like Azure, enables really fast integration. And so customers do not need to invest heavily into IT infrastructure. They could just integrate with data and get everything they need.
And how can customers find out more about the DataVisor AI-powered fraud management solution and procure it through the Azure Marketplace?
They could certainly try to basically find more information about us through our website and find the detailed introduction about products. But they could go to Azure Marketplace and search for DataVisor product and be able to subscribe from there.
Great. Yinglian, how has partnering with Microsoft helped DataVisor scale and grow your business?
Well, we're very excited about the partnership with a cloud provider such as Microsoft Azure. And so for DataVisor solutions, it's hosted as it's a cloud-first solution. It's hosted basically in the cloud. It's a SaaS service, and therefore, by partnering with Azure, we can definitely make our service available to broader customers who's already working with Microsoft and have data already sitting on Azure. For them, turning on Azure DataVisor service, and it's a seamless kind of integration, and they can get ROIs right away. And furthermore, I think the general industry trend makes the cloud setup more resilient to the fast expanding business, and not like in the past when they switch to digital, right? They might face with a lot more users when they get popular, which every business wish to, their service might grow significantly. And therefore, having a cloud solution overcomes the shortcomings that we usually don't, whether we provision enough capacity, we don't want to under provision, we don't want to over provision, but being able to have the service available in the cloud makes it easy to expand according to the business scale.
Super. How do people connect with you?
Well, we can be reached by datavisor.com through our website, and you can submit demo requests to us. And you can also follow our LinkedIn and as well as follow our Twitter at DataVisor.
Great. And I'll post all that to the show notes so people can just click on that and get right to you.
Thank you.
Yinglian, do you have any parting words of wisdom that you'd like to share with the audience?
Well, as somebody whose technology background, I really envision that going toward digital by leveraging the latest kind of new technologies of this AI, big data, parallel computing power, we will be able to actually provide a better customer experience and a better, safer world, and to bring the trust and bring the safety to everybody's online experience, and at the same time to kind of identify, detect a lot of fraud attacks, and to make all of us life actually better.
Wonderful. Yinglian, thank you so much for sharing your time and your wisdom. I really enjoyed having you on the show.
Again, thank you so much. It's my great pleasure, and I enjoyed talking to everyone here.